The movie we're about to talk about just proves if you have a drive and a vision for a film, and you want to make it no matter where you live and what your circumstances are, get your friends together and find a way to do it. Because these guys sure did. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And the movie we're going to talk about today is called Darkness. This film was released in 1993, unrated. It's an hour and 30 minutes, went direct to video. As far as I know, I don't think it had a theatrical screening. I tried to do as much research as I could. I even found an interview with the director of the film. But this movie was made on a budget of $5,000 from what I can find. And I remember the first time I saw it. And I grew up in a small town, and we had, I think, 3 video stores in town. And the one video store was called Hits and Heroes. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Mike from Pennsylvania. I had texted him to ask him what was the name of the video. I couldn't remember the name of the video store. I don't know why. I was thinking of something else. So Mike, thank you very much for that info. And they had one copy of this film. I don't remember how we learned about it, but there was a lot of buzz amongst kids my age that liked horror films, and all my friends liked horror films. And at that time, we were trying to find the goriest horror film we could to sit down and watch. And I think it was my friend Chuck who told me about this film. And we went down to Hits and Heroes, and he had one copy of this film. One. And it was out, and we couldn't get it. And I remember it was like a Friday or a Saturday, and we were like, we put our names on the list. That's when you could put in to reserve the film. And I think it took us like 2 weeks to get our hands on this VHS tape. And we watched it. And I remember watching it, and it is very gory. There's a lot of blood in this film. And we'll get into that a little bit as we go along down the line here. And I remember, I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever, but you could see that there was passion behind it. That this was made by people that really loved horror as a genre. Also liked metal music. We'll get into that too. And that they put their heart and soul in it. You could just feel it oozing off the screen. And I always respected it for that. Now, I watched it again later on in the 90s. I rented it again. And that was probably the last time I've seen this film until just within the last 24 hours. Because I have not even thought about this film. But my buddy Dale and his buddy Chuck, they have a podcast called Bat and Spider. If you get a chance, check it out. It's really well done. These guys are awesome. And they talk about obscure horror films or, lower budgeted films. And they had just done one for Video Violence that I've never seen, but it was definitely filmed by a bunch of people who liked horror films and decided to make a movie in their small town. Well, that's what this film is as well. And it got me thinking about this, and I even text Dale, I'm like, you should check out this movie called Darkness if you can find it. Now, looking around, I saw they're still selling the DVD on Amazon. It's like $68, which is insane. I did see an interview with the director, and Arrow Video was going to release a Blu-ray. I don't know if they have. I couldn't find it. But I found it on YouTube. It has Greek subtitles, but you can watch the whole film on YouTube. It's not the best transfer, but you can watch the film and see enough of it to know if you like it or not. And this film was written, produced, directed, and the special effects by Leif Jonker. That's the gentleman's name. You can find interviews with him on YouTube if you look up his name. And the star of this film, Gary Miller, who plays Toby, which I'm assuming is a shout out to Toby Hooper, although I don't know that, also helped with the makeup effects. So Leif Jonker pretty much was a jack of all trades in this film, which you could tell it was a low-budget affair. And doing a little research on the film, from what I can find, the production crew sold their blood to raise money for the production. And this movie in 2015 was named the goriest vampire movie of all time by Horror Hound magazine. I don't know if that's true. It is very gory. There's lots of blood. But I've seen a lot of bloody movies. But I don't know. It possibly could be right. Leif Jonker wrote this script when he was 17 years old, and they started filming this movie in 1988. They abandoned production and started it up again in 89 when they finished production in 89, but they didn't finish post-production until 91, and the film was released in 1993. That is pretty much all of the research I could find on this film. And basically this film it opens up, and there's this guy running down the highway, running down a road. It's nighttime, and we don't know what he's running from. And he comes upon a Texaco gas station. They obscure the logo, but it's a Texaco gas station. And there's the clerk behind the counter, a policewoman in the store, and this other guy who ends up being Toby in the store. And this guy runs in, he's bleeding from his shoulder, he's a wound, and he starts babbling on about he's coming, we have to get out of here. And then the guy all of a sudden grabs the policewoman's revolver and shoots himself in the head. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And all of a sudden, this guy appears out of the darkness, kills this woman at a gas pump, comes in the store and pretty much kills everybody except for Toby, who gets away. with the shotgun in the store and the cop's revolver. And from here on out, it's pretty much Toby trying to. He goes back to his house in his trailer, and his mom is dead, and he has to kill her. And then it's basically him trying to hunt down this vampire master. There's very similarities to John Carpenter's vampires in this film, because not only does the vampire master come up out of ground at sunrise or at sunset, but just the way he kind of turns people into like a hive of vampires. It's kind of very similar to John Carpenter's vampires in a way. And pretty much Toby runs across other people, and they kind of fight their way out and try to kill as many vampires as they can. And that is pretty much Darkness. It's a very simple plot, and there's some goofy shit in the movie, but it's a low budget affair. I know they didn't have the money to do what they wanted to, but I will say some of the special effects do come off pretty well considering the budget. And you can tell there's a lot of care with this film. Yes, you can make fun of it. There are some goofy ass shit, and there's mistakes in here. Like when Toby first finds this vampire hive, this abandoned house where there's a bunch of vampires and it's sleeping. And the one vampire attacks him as they're waking up with a chainsaw. He gets the chainsaw and takes it to the vampire. But you can tell when he picks up the chainsaw that the chain on the chainsaw has come off. And it's just hanging there. You can see it in the one shot when he puts it down. And then, but just a few seconds later, he picks it back up. The chain's on it again, and he starts it back up. Little stuff like that you can notice. You can see some of the seams of some of the effects in that as well. But the effects do come off okay. They do a decent job of hiding what they're doing, and it looks pretty cool in some scenes. Some scenes it doesn't work as well, of course. I mean, they were working with a $5,000 budget, so you can't expect everything to look like gold here. But for what they had to work with, and I don't know what they filmed on. I don't know if they filmed it on VHS tape or what. I couldn't find that information. But sometimes you could hear in the background, at least on the YouTube version, of the crew moving around as the camera moves. Just little mistakes like that. I mean, of course, in a production like this, you're going to find, it's easy enough to make fun of stuff like that, but you got to realize, these people didn't have and I like bashing on films too for dumb shit, but these people didn't have a ton of money, and they were passionate about what they were doing. They were trying to make a cool vampire film. And I had fun with it, watching it again for the first time in forever. It's been at least 20 some years since I've seen this film. But I can feel the love, the care that they took with the movie. This movie was shot in Kansas, Augusta, and Wichita, from what I can find. And overall, you can have fun with this film. It's very gory. There's a lot of blood. The acting's not the greatest, so you got to realize this gentleman used his friends in the film. It wasn't like these were trained actors, or maybe they did some stage work locally. But the main actor, Gary Miller, he does okay. He does fine, and some of the actors around him do okay. I mean, it's definitely amateur acting, but what do you want? This is a gentleman who had a vision, and his friends helped him out, and they executed the best they could. And as the movie ends, there's a scene on this highway where the vampires are chasing him right before dawn. Toby and this girl that's got away with him, and basically the vampires just start melting down. And it's funny though, the vampires in this movie, they changed the rules up a little bit. They do die from holy water, and sunlight kills them. But they don't mention anything else like crosses or stakes through the heart. But they do try to shoot them through the heart with guns. But there's this funny scene where our heroes are escaping across this river and the vampires are on their tail. And he turns around this 2-liter empty bottle of soda that he filled with holy water, and he dumps it into the river, and the vampires just start melting. It's funny as hell, and it comes off as a little, like, what the hell? You dump in holy water in a river? And it's a pretty deep river. It's not like a little stream, and the guys just start melting. It's kind of funny. But whatever, man. You can still have fun with this film as a low-budget affair. And you can tell these guys like metal music too, because throughout it's sprinkled with metal music. And the original score of it, you could tell he was I would say he's influenced by Carpenter, because I could hear shades of the Fog score and Prince of Darkness with a little sprinkle of Creepshow. I could be wrong on that. I don't know what the director was thinking when he created the score, because I think he also composed the score for the film. But I got those vibes from it. The Fog and Prince of Darkness definitely in parts. And that score, actually, I like the score, actually. There's metal music peppered through. And I saw there's at least 2 shots of Iron Maiden t-shirts in the film. So I know these people like metal as well, and they love horror films. But yeah, you can have fun with this film. It's not the greatest thing ever, but You could tell these people loved what they were doing, and they tried to do the best they could with what they had. So I would give this film a 5.75 out of 10. You could feel the love and the care they took and to do with what they had, and I respect them for it. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but you can sit down and have a fun time with it. So yeah, 5.75 out of 10 for Darkness. Have you ever seen Darkness? If you have, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you, see what your thoughts are in this film. And do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, all that great stuff. Share this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. Get the word out on this film. And that's it for me. Have a great weekend. I'll be back soon in another video. Thanks. Bye.